So these philodendron have been cooking for a few months and they are looking a bit raggedy because I've only just taken them inside from the greenhouse and it is November, so I should have really taken them in sooner, but to be honest, I forgot about them. And they have got these amazing roots, so I am going to pot them up today because I feel like they deserve to be potted up and have some love. So with me today, I've got some nice soil mix that I have mixed up together. So it's got bark in it, it's got perlite, it's got normal base compost in there. And we're just going to pot them up in the smallest containers that I could find. They're a bit mix matchy. We don't want them going in too big of a container because otherwise they can rot quite easily, especially if they're not used to the large amount of water content. Typically that's what kills plants more, planting them up in too big of a pot than by keeping them root bound. They can survive much better if they're root bound than if you just put a random stem with a twiggly root into a large container. So anyway, let's get started. So some of these ones on the edge, they didn't do so well. Maybe it's because they were in them like that and they didn't get much sunlight, but they tend to be, look how big that one is. It's absolutely massive. There are some much stronger ones than other ones, and I'm going to clean them up a little bit. They've lost their old baby leaves now. How do I get them out? Oh no, it's rooted in its neighbours. Okay, so here is one of them. That is like a very, very healthy one. We have got some dying leaves off, but look at those roots. Look how good they are. And these little balls of the stratum, they're being held together by the roots. So you know how good the root system is when these balls are all staying together, because otherwise they will just fall out and go everywhere. When I am going to pot it up, we've got some roots coming out here, coming stem, because they are epiphytes. They do want to climb and they do produce roots up all of the stem. So I want to take advantage of that when I am potting them up. So I might fill up the pot around there to stop it getting bendy, getting too leggy, and hopefully it'll produce more of a root there, which can help support it further in the soil. So these little pots, I'm not going to fill them up too high either. So spreading the roots out a little bit, making the plant as centered as possible. There you have it, a lovely little plantlet. So now the roots can adapt to the soil. Hopefully it should fill out the pot quite quickly. It will be going inside in an area where it is much warmer than conservatory. So hopefully it shouldn't hinder the root growth too much because it is winter. Gently wiggling them because it does have holes at the bottom. If you wiggle them nicely enough, they do just pop out. So I'm taking off any leaves that are a bit on the downside because I do not want botrytis or any kind of fungal. This came out such the perfect plant. Like, look at that, look at that. Admittedly, I did leave them in way too long in the stratum and they might be a bit nutrient deficient because of that. Stratum has nutrients within it, but I have been feeding them as well, but only once they had roots that were strong enough. You do not want to burn the baby roots. Philodendrons love a chunky bark mix. They want that aeration in the soil. They want it to be kind of loose. There's nothing like they hate more than like a clay, a thick clay or something. So if you are doing this, make sure you're getting the right compost. I find it a lot cheaper to make myself, and then you can really tailor it to the plant. There isn't really a right or wrong way to do this and plant up tissue cultures, but there are some things that will make it far more successful, like keeping the humidity high when you have first transplanted them from the agar or the jelly solution. And that's why these had lids, and then over time I slowly opened the vent and let the air come in, and then they were still smaller at this point, and then I made the lid at an angle so more air could get in, and it slowly acclimatized them to the room. And they've done really well in the greenhouse over the summer, especially as it's outside and there's all sorts of pests and diseases out there. They seem to have really pulled through. This one hasn't got as many leaves, but there is another one on the way. At some point I will cut them back to see if I can get them to branch a little bit. It normally doesn't really happen very well with philodendrons, getting them to branch. You'll cut them back and they won't actually bush out like most plants. They will just like go straight up. I do want their stems to be nice and chunky. Here's a really good tip. If you do not want flimsy stems, what you can do is get a little fan, which is really good for air ventilation anyway. We don't want stagnant air around these plants. And it blows them a little bit, not too much, but it'll help strengthen the stem, because as the plant is moving around, it will send signals to the plant somehow, I don't know. And it will encourage the plant to support itself by making the stem firmer and tougher. Propagating plants this way might seem a little extra, a little difficult, so much going into it. And not everyone wants this amount of plants. I mean, some I can give away as gifts because they're a nice, more unusual, more expensive plant when they're fully grown. And other times it's just something nice, like a little project. In the future, I think I'll try homegrown tissue culture. Not right now, because I don't think I can do it without contamination. But yeah, these plantlets I got on eBay actually. You can buy them on eBay in the little bags. And another advantage of having these plantlets as tissue culture is that they're a lot cheaper. They do have a lot more work. There are some muses out there, the Florida muses, going for, I think it was about £100. And if you want a full plant of that, it's about £400, £500. So if that's within your budget, it's not within mine, but if that's within your budget and something that you'd really like to do and you're a plant collector, propagating from tissue culture or doing what I'm doing, which is basically transferring them from the agar to soil, might be a solution for you. This one's not looking the best, not gonna lie. This is probably from a separation that I did. So when you get them in the agar, they sprout up from a calloused part of the plant that was put in the agar, and you can get loads and loads of plantlets just from one tiny little bit of plant. And so what I've done is that I've separated the big ones from the little ones in the hope of getting more plants in the future, but obviously you get little ones, the runts of the litter like this. So it's gonna go in a smaller pot, much less soil. As you can see, that's what's happened to this one here. I have got two plants, this one, this long one, and this little plantlet here. I could separate them at the moment, but I want quite a full plant maybe from this one, so I'm just going to remove the dead leaves and pop the whole thing up. These are really chunky roots as well. You can actually see the coloration on this leaf. It is meant to be slightly variegated and have a little bit of a pattern on it. This one I think is one of my favourites. Look how good and bushy that one is. It's got 5 leaves. This one's a nice bushy one too, but it is a lot smaller. But I do like how compact it is. And last but not least, I have this. This is a wizard I think I got when I bought these other tissue culture ones. It's looking so good. It hasn't rooted nearly as much as the other plants. Maybe a smaller pot. I know, because it's like really variegated. It just takes a lot longer for it to grow. And here they all are, potted up nicely, looking very lovely. This is the time where you will water them in and just leave them in a nice sunny warm location to really firm up and get growing. I will update in future videos how well they're doing and if there are any issues from just doing this. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this and I hope it is helpful for anyone out there that wants to propagate their own plant from tissue culture plantlets. Like mildly informative. If you did like it, hit like on this video and subscribe for future updates. If you made it to the end of this video, comment agar so that I know you've made it all the way to the end of this video and I know who the true video watchers are out there. Anyway, thank you for watching. Bye.